WWE is no newcomer when it comes to creating wrestling games and have done it since the early 2000s. A lot of these titles were great, but in the last few iterations have fallen flat until now. 2K has gone back to the drawing board and have redesigned the WWE franchise, and honestly, this one feels and looks the best it has in years. So let's take a look at WWE 2K22 to see what changes 2K has actually made. Jumping into WWE 2K22 for me felt like a trip down memory lane and made me feel like I was back in 2006, but that was where the similarities end. 2K has completely redesigned not only the visuals and the character designs, but the entire engine itself to make the WWE superstars feel more alive than ever. With this new redesign, they have more accurately captured the movements of every superstar and makes them feel as good as they look. The character models are also the most accurate they have been to date, and with the added skin textures, lighting and sweat, really makes them feel more dimensional and real as opposed to the flat and somewhat inaccurate models of the past. For me, there's still room for improvement, especially when it comes to hair and titles, but this is definitely 1,000 steps in the right direction. With a new engine revamp also comes new controls, and for me playing it took a few games to get used to, but as soon as you get used to it, it really is nice, and I really enjoy the intuitive nature of how you control your character, initiate finishers, and how you counter your opponent's attacks. But all that aside, 2K has also added a bunch of features that add variety to 2K22, which I really enjoyed as it makes the games more enjoyable for longer periods of time and allow you to take breaks from simply wrestling to enjoy a few other game modes as well. Some of these game modes include Showcase, My GM, My Faction, My Rise, Universe Mode, and even Creation Suite, where I used to spend a lot of my time back in the day. In Showcase, you get to relive and play some of the most iconic moments in Rey Mysterio's career in a unique and awesome way that really does bring back nostalgia, especially for those old school WWE fans. These matches, however, are more structured to help retell the events as close as possible to how they happened, and even features 2K's new slingshot tech to transition you flawlessly between gameplay and live action historical footage. The way it is done is really impressive, and I really enjoyed recreating these iconic moments and hope to see more of them either in updates or with DLCs. Now, completing these matches aren't just for nostalgia, you also do get rewarded with extra characters and arenas when completing these events successfully by completing all of the tasks set in the actual match. In My Rise, you get to create your own superstar with one goal in mind, and that is to work your way out of the Performance Center and into the main cards on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. In this mode, you will have to make decisions that will alter the trajectory of your career and wrestle it out with some of the finest to secure your spot at the top of the roster. You'll not only wrestle, but also be faced with decisions that will ultimately lead to what type of superstar you will be and how everything will play out for you. Along with that, you'll also have to focus on gaining fans and staying active on social media throughout this entire journey, but don't worry, you don't have to make in-depth decisions. It will mainly be deciding whether or not you want to take matches, and as a result of that, you will gain fans, and you'll also gain some skill points that you can spend on your character to help improve certain skills. As far as My GM is concerned, you get to call the shots as the general manager of either Raw, SmackDown, or NXT, and you get to control the outcomes of matches by either playing in them, interfering as the GM, or simply by calling the shots behind the scenes to create over-the-top matches, brew some rivalries, and host some of the best pay-per-views in the world. My Faction, on the other hand, focuses on collecting cards for the card game, where you build your own faction using those cards. You'll need to collect these cards, manage and upgrade them throughout weekly events and updates. This mode has a few different currency types that can be used to buy new card packs to unlock more superstars for your faction. And then the Creation Suite is as it sounds, a place where you can create your own superstars of title belts, and of course what makes this great is that you can share it online with the online community to either share inspiration or even gain some. And then another cool feature for me was the face scanning when creating your own superstar, which will allow you to create yourself more accurately and with less time trying to spend inside of the Creation Suite itself. And then when it comes to the roster, it is fairly big with a lot of new faces and some old ones for you to play with, either online or on the couch with your friends, and having this really makes it feel like the good old days when you would invite your friends over to recreate some of your most beloved wrestling matches with your favorite superstars in the roster from old and new. For me, it never felt like I missed someone or that the roster was too small, but But if you want to see a full roster list, I have left a link to that down in the description below, so you can actually go and check out the roster for yourself. And then lastly, the playlist was curated by the executive sound producer Machine Gun Kelly and features some great songs to listen to while you're browsing the menus or creating your character or championship belt, which really takes me back to the good old days of having great playlists in games. Overall, WWE 2K22 was a fun game to play, and all the different features really made it easy to get lost in the game for hours on end without ever feeling you're doing the same thing over and over again. The new visuals makes the game look stunning, and the new and improved engine makes the game run just as smooth as it looks. So for me, WWE 2K22 gets an 8 out of 10. The amount of game modes really makes it fun to play for long extended periods of time, since you rarely get tired of doing the same thing over and over, and all the improvements that 2K have made to the series really shows a lot of potential and promise for the series. So let's hope it continues this way. For more tech and gaming reviews, be sure to hit that like and subscribe.